to see my sunny island in its glorious greenery. Whether rain or shine, it's still beautiful. Bright lights shine on the streets at night, guiding me closer to home, to a place where I'll be safe and warm, where I belong. Friends and families by my side, seeing me through as I grow and learn. Every day's experience, bittersweet or sour, it's still wonderful as they become precious memories that we get close to my heart. And no matter where I am, I will always know where I belong. Where I belong, where I keep my heart and soul, where dreams come true for us, where we walk together hand in hand towards a future so bright.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ACI Live Aid Financial Markets Give Back 2020, the inaugural virtual fundraising event. I'm Ivan Heng, founding artistic director of Wild Rice, and it is my great pleasure and privilege to be your host tonight. Even as we all come to the final week of our circuit breaker in Singapore, it is no overstatement to say that we are living in very challenging times. This global pandemic has caused widespread economic and social suffering, and I think it's fair to say that our lives will never be the same again. Still, it's amazing to witness how the human race is adapting to our present circumstance and getting used to the new normal. Just over a month ago, and I remember the phone call, ACI made a decision to expedite its charity fundraising gala dinner, and to do so urgently to help those in need. We decided to go virtual with our fundraising event, and it's been quite a steep learning curve for everyone involved to rethink a 26-year-old tradition of a charity golf and gala, to innovate, pivot, take it online into a virtual get-together. The team just had 30 days to plan, coordinate, and execute the logistics while being locked down in our homes during the circuit breaker. Well, we are very, very glad to be here with 519 of you. And we count our blessings that we can get together over drinks, a good meal, and even some entertainment. There are many, however, who are not so fortunate, especially with many suffering job losses and businesses paralyzed by the lockdown. And it's for this precise reason that the ACI decided very urgently to set up the Trampoline Fund. We want to thank everybody who's kindly donated to hosting a Zoom room, bought a table, made a donation, or bought a ticket to this event. If you are a guest that has been invited, we ask that you please make a donation now or anytime at this evening via the QR code on the screen. It's right there. Okay? Now, all the money raised tonight will go directly to supporting various initiatives, creating sustainable change for the long term. And it will enable many, many more of the vulnerable groups in Singapore to survive, bounce back, and hopefully emerge stronger out of this crisis. Thank you once again, everyone, for being here at tonight's fundraiser. It leaves me now to welcome Mr. Andrew Ng, President of the ACI Singapore, to deliver his welcome address.
Our guest of honor, Mr. Ravi Menon, MD of MAS, distinguished guests, and fellow members of ACI Singapore, good evening. I would like to welcome you all to this virtual charity party, the ACI Live Aid Financial Markets Give Back 2020. We are living in unprecedented times. The COVID-19 pandemic has not only led to loss of life, significant rise in unemployment, but also widespread economic and social suffering around the world. To change the way we go about our daily lives, the way we work, and the way we socialize with people. The COVID-19 outbreak affects all segments of population in Singapore, and is particularly detrimental to members of those social groups in the most vulnerable situations, including people living in poverty situations, older persons, persons with disabilities, youth, and the foreign workers. For the past 26 years, ACI Singapore has hosted the annual ACI Singapore Charity Golf and Gala dinner and raised a total of 12 million from the financial markets community. In view of the situation of the COVID, we decided to think out of the box for our fundraising program in order to meet the overwhelming needs in society. So tonight, this inaugural event is the first of its kind for us, where donors will have the opportunity to have a meal and immerse themselves in various performances that will be streamed online from the comfort of your homes. The funds we raise in this event will go to the ACI Trampoline Fund, which supports programs and initiatives that are addressing the longer-term needs of vulnerable people in Singapore. The name of this fund was inspired by Senior Minister Taman, and we wanted to provide a trampoline for people to bounce back and emerge stronger This year, we have partnered the TMT, the Majority Trust, and IPC philanthropic organization to assist ACI in administering the fund. All qualifying donations are eligible for 2.5 times tax relief benefit status. So tonight, I appeal to all of you from the financial markets community to stand up and act as a stronghold to help the less fortunate amid the upcoming uncertainties. Here, I want to thank a few people: Mr. Ravi Menon, MD of MAS, to be our guest of honor, and his willingness to spend time with us to share his thoughts later on. And also, I would like to thank the fundraising chairman, Holon, and his team for organizing this event in such a short period of time, and all the people who contributed to the success of this event. Lastly, I must thank all the donors, sponsors, and all of you to spend the time with us tonight. Now, please sit down and relax. Enjoy the program and the meal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Before we commence with our fireside chat with our guest of honor, Mr. Ravi Menon, we'd like to capture everyone on camera as a memento of this evening. It's a groundbreaking live wire of an event, a virtual fundraiser, bigger than anything I've done in Singapore yet. So to do this, I'll be joining you all in the main room, all right? So I'll see you there shortly in a bit as we all get zoomed there. I'm in the room. Hello, everyone. It's fantastic to see so many familiar faces here. Many of you still on the beach in Bali, as I see. Now, if you don't see me, you can click on a speaker view and pin Tech Crew 0-WL. But I don't think you need to see me. You can keep looking at your friends, okay? Because as long as you hear me, all is good. Now, for this moment, we'd like to make sure that you start your video so that we can capture everyone's faces. Are we ready? Very quickly, I'm going to ask each of you to do 3 hand signals, all right, to show some love. There are many, many ways of demonstrating love. This is a familiar one. Or you can do Singapore Sign Language, right? Or you can do American Sign Language. This is Korean Sign Language, of course. And this is, this is Singapore heartbeat. This is everybody's heartbeat, all right? So on the count of 3, just smile and give us your sign of love, okay? And we'll all say together, ACI Live Aid 2020, all right? That will give our tech crew some time to record the moment and capture this special moment, okay? On my count, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. ACI Live Aid 2020.
ACI Live Aid 2020.
Well done. Keep smiling, huh? Okay, we're gonna do one more, all right? Are you ready? You can change it about, do a different hand signal, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. ACI 2020. Got it. All right. I think we've got it. We'll try one more. We need one more. The tech crew says we need one more. All right. So now we'll say together we can. All right. One last hand signal. 1, 2, 3. Together we can. Fantastic. Guess what? We've just captured 520 of you on screen. We'll look out for it. All right. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Hello, it's good to see that you are tucking into your dinner. Fun fact, this evening more than 500 gourmet meals were delivered across the island from 23 supportive, wonderful restaurants. And we hope you enjoy it because they're doing it out of love. So enjoy it, all right? And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce and welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Ravi Menon, Managing Director of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, in conversation with our moderator, Ms. Haslinda Amin, Bloomberg anchor and Chief International Correspondent. Over to you, Haslinda.
Ivan, thank you so much. Now, we talk about how these are unprecedented times. Never before have we seen so much stimulus, yet even after trillions of dollars in support, it's nowhere close to being done. And the Fed, the BOJ, along with other central banks, they keep saying they will do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Let's get insights from one of the sharpest central bankers in the world, certainly one of the most progressive, Ravi Menon, no stranger to this room. Ravi, always good to speak to you, and nice t-shirt, looks just like mine. Ravi, are you there?
Good to see you, Ms. Linda.
Ravi, this is the first time that fiscal and monetary policies have been mobilized to address possibly the deepest recession since the Great Depression. What are your views on that? Will it work?
Well, as you pointed out, this is the deepest contraction in the global economy since the Great Depression. The IMF projects that the global economy shrink by about 3% this year. Probably going to be more than that. So I think we need to see the fiscal stimulus and the monetary stimulus in the context of this very sharp, unprecedented decline in economic activity. There is no choice about it. Will it work? Well, I think we should judge it as we do in Singapore anyway. The intent of policy is not to raise the rate of GDP growth. That would not be possible when there are so many border restrictions, movement restrictions, all of which are necessary to tame the pandemic. The intent is really to support individuals and businesses and jobs and keep them intact so that we are positioned for recovery when the pandemic ends, or at least it eases off. So I don't think the stimulus should be judged in its GDP impact, but in terms of how it protects jobs and businesses.
Is it the right approach, though, when you say whatever it takes?
It's a phrase that I don't think we would use, but I think it signals the necessity of taking unprecedented policy responses, both fiscal and monetary globally. Because of the unprecedented situation we're in. I don't think in and of itself that is harmful. It may be necessary, I think, as I explained, to help the businesses and individuals through this period. I think what's more important is when recovery starts to take place, we should start thinking about a gradual exit, both monetary and fiscal. Fiscal because it's going to just pile on more and more debt. And the governments of the world have to pay off this debt. Monetary because if you're leaving that much liquidity in the system, that could create all kinds of problems down the road. So I think what's more important is how do we exit out of this as the pandemic loses intensity and the economies start recovering?
So it is about eventually, gradually mopping up the liquidity. Will there be a lot to mop up, and how challenging will that be?
It will be challenging. If you ask me, I think the unprecedented actions taken after the global financial crisis, probably the exit from those policies was not as timely or soon enough. I think we left too much liquidity in the system. It took time to gradually unwind. And so we've not built up strong policy buffers globally in terms of on the monetary front. And it has led to certain consequences, especially with respect to financial stability risks, excessive capital flows to the emerging economies, and so on. So I hope this time around we will actually pay heed to those risks of keeping easy policies for too long. But I'm surprised you're asking about exit when actually we are still in early days of the crisis, and really this is not the time to hint too much at that. So I have some sympathy for statements of the nature of whatever it takes, because you need to instill confidence that there will be support to get us through this.
So if now is not the right time to be talking about an exit or planning for an exit yet, what are the signs that should be in place before central banks think about that?
Well, we should certainly start planning for an exit, both fiscal policy and monetary policy. And in Singapore, we have been thinking about how this can be gradually unwound. As I said, if the signs of recovery are going to be pretty hard to decipher and discern, what we're likely to see is a recovery in fits and starts, meaning as economies open up, there'll be a recovery. We cannot rule out, and I think we must fully expect small outbreaks of COVID-19 again in different parts of the world, which may well necessitate having to impose restrictive measures again on movements, on certain activities, and that would have an economic impact. So I think what we're looking at for the next 12 to 18 months is a situation where we have to learn to live with the virus amidst us. And economies need to be nimble in having to open and then partially shut and so on. So this is going to have an impact on headline GDP, maybe on employment and so on. And that makes the withdrawal of policy stimulus all the more challenging, because the job's not done. And if you withdraw it prematurely, that could lead to great hardship. And if there is a sustained, it could well lead to sustained damage to the economies. So I don't underestimate the challenge that policymakers all over the world will face, including here, with respect to timing the gradual exit, because the signs of recovery are going to be mixed. And with mixed signals, it's not clear what your course of action is likely to be.
For central banks, Ravi, to go or not to go negative, we know there's no consensus on this. We have the Fed pushing back on negative rates. We have the RBNZ saying it is an option, though Governor Orr did say there are caveats. What's your view on the usefulness of negative rates as a policy instrument?
Yeah, it's not a new thing. Even before COVID, interest rates have been very low. And the reason for this is simply this. The rates of potential growth in the future are likely to be lower. demographic factors, productivity slowdown, structural factors of all kinds. So when you have lower expected growth in the long term, the natural rate of interest that balances the supply and demand for capital tends to be lower. This is what we call the natural rate of interest or the neutral rate of interest. So when the neutral rate of interest is lower, they call it R star, then you have very little policy maneuver. It means your policy rates will also have to be lower. Your neutral policy rate will be lower. In the advanced economies, they estimate the natural rate is something like 0.5%. So if your neutral policy setting is at 0.5%, it means when you have a downturn, you don't have much room to maneuver. Unlike in the old days where neutral rates were closer to 3%, and you could bring down interest rates, by 200 basis points. Now you don't have that much room, which is why negative interest rates has become a topic of great interest to central banks. It means that room for maneuverability is small. Now, is this a good idea? I think for a short term, perhaps, but just as I don't think you have enough room to move into negative territory as you have in positive territory. Meaning, as interest rates go too low into negative territory, bank profitability is going to be squeezed. And their willingness to lend, no matter how cheap money is, even if the central bank is paying them to take the money and lend, they won't. So I think there are limits to how low negative interest rates can go. Occasionally going into that territory to help boost activity is fine. But I don't see this as a permanent solution, which is why I think most central banks have resorted to quantitative easing to intervene across the yield curve and buy up securities, both at the short end, which is traditional central bank, as well as in the long end, which is the unusual, unconventional part of this. And in the process, they build up their balance sheets and provide generalized liquidity across the system. I think one thing we should not forget, we keep thinking in terms of interest rates and liquidity. Now that is way upstream. It's important. That's the crux of monetary policy. But what's also important is that liquidity upstream flows down as credit to the real economy through the banking system. And that transmission has been weak post-global financial crisis. And that is why in Singapore, our approach has been dual. The MAS has been providing ample amounts of liquidity, and we could talk about the liquidity facilities we've put in place. But we've also worked closely with the banks to make sure that credit continues to flow in a responsible fashion without putting the banks themselves at risk, but they are able to support the needs of the real economy.
Before we get to the measures that the MAS has implemented, let's talk about the market slightly, because there's been so much disconnect between financial markets and economic data. Every time we get a bad data, we go like, you know what, this is going to bring the market down. It never happens. As a policymaker, how do you view this? Is it something we should be concerned about?
Yeah, we are concerned. Not much you can do about it. This is particularly acute in the equities market, which has a very strong optimistic streak about it, which baffles me. So as you said, Haslinda, every time there's bad news, there's a knee-jerk one-day reaction, and then there's a recovery. Any rumor of a vaccine or a treatment comes along, the markets say, oh, that's great, and then they start rallying. So absolutely right. There is a growing disjuncture between economic reality and market asset prices. So that itself is a source of risk, because if and when eventually markets fully price in the downside risks, then you could have a sharper correction. Some of that has taken place, no doubt, but we can't afford to have a growing divergence, because that's going to make the subsequent correction that much sharper and more painful.
But isn't it true as well that the market's increasingly depending on several banks to ensure that everything goes right for the markets?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's been an addiction to central bank liquidity. in the markets. This predates COVID. It has been going on since the global financial crisis. This intoxication with central bank liquidity has become rather ingrained and does pose vulnerabilities. Central banks are conscious of this, but they've had little choice when the real economy was still experiencing subpar growth the last 10 years in many economies, especially in Europe, which is why they still had to move very cautiously and gingerly. So this set of challenges is going to be with us next year when we start recovering, and if the markets especially take off in an unsustainable way because there's liquidity, central banks will have to start gradually unwinding and withdrawing that liquidity and hope that markets do not overreact to that.
Let's bring it back home. Singapore announced a fourth stimulus package amounting to close to 20% of GDP. Quite a bazooka, we must say. What does it mean for the budget, and how will we recover from it?
There have been 4 budgets announced in as many months, right? It's now the total fiscal package is about 92 billion Singapore dollars. It's about 20% of GDP. It is unprecedented. The deficit has just grown quite sharply. Singapore is quite exceptional in this regard because we've been able to do this without borrowing and entirely funded from accumulated savings. This is almost unique. I think Hong Kong's probably the only other economy that has this kind of buffer. So the great thing is that we are going into the crisis with exceptionally strong fiscal capacity to run this large deficit, drawing on reserves. More than half the fiscal spending for COVID-19 pandemic crisis is funded by past reserves. It's come from past reserves. And under our laws, under our constitution, the president has to give approval for that. It's a system we've set in place so that these reserves are well husbanded to deal with situations like this, the rainy day, proverbial rainy day. And now, of course, it's a huge storm. So it's not wrong, entirely appropriate to draw on those reserves to tide us through this period. And we're in this very lucky situation where we don't have to go back to borrow to fund this.
But interesting situation for Singapore. It is such an open economy. It is susceptible to what's happening in the rest of the world. And even if we get our act together, the recovery could be in question if our neighbors, if the rest of the world, if the markets outside that we depend on do not recover as well.
Yeah, but that's the nature of being plugged into the global economy. I said recovery will be in fits and starts in terms of timing. I think what you're also going to see is that the recovery will differ quite a bit across different economies. Those economies that are able to reopen and resume economic activities while ensuring safe management and are able to control repeated outbreaks of the pandemic, they're going to do better. So this is going to become a source of competitive advantage. The ability to test, massive testing capacity, which is something Singapore is investing in. The ability to do high quality, rigorous contact tracing, and the ability to isolate those who are infected. The combination of these three is critical. If we can do this well, and if our workplaces are transformed through very enhanced safe management measures, then I think you can resume economic activity without having a very large outbreak of infections. Those economies that do this well will have a smoother recovery. So I think it is going to be uneven because different countries' capacity to do these things different. So you'll have a differentiated recovery across countries. Second, you're going to have a differentiated recovery across sectors. Some sectors are going to take much longer to recover. It's just in the nature of their activities. Modern manufacturing, for instance, is likely to see faster recovery. If production takes off in China, in Korea, and Taiwan, then we are plugged into that. So that would be good. It is easier to implement safe management, safe distancing, and those defensive practices in a factory setting. Financial services, professional services, infocom services, technology services, they're also likely to recover faster and do better, partly because they are able to operate through digital means. They operate in quite well-structured office settings where you can actually put in place very strong safe management measures. So these activities, as you know, as you can also see from the way we've been gradually reopening the economy, these are the sectors that are likely to do better. Those sectors that depend a great deal on a lot of face-to-face and large-scale human interaction will take much longer to reopen. Large-scale sporting activities, for instance, will take much longer. Air travel will probably take a lot longer to recover because people need to become more confident about traveling. And border restrictions are still in place in many parts of the world. So I think we're going to see uneven recovery across economies and across sectors. So as with all challenges, there are pluses, there are niches, there are opportunities. And I think if Singapore is ahead of the curve on those matters, if we are plugged into those economies and those sectors, then the recovery here would be even stronger.
How has Singapore's financial sector been coping with the virus and the circuit breaker?
Yeah, so financial sector, I think, has been quite remarkably resilient in the face of COVID-19. I mean, in terms of this ability to function. This session is an example, it's in and of itself. So during the circuit breaker period that we are still at, the tail end of, 85% of the financial sector has been able to work from home. I'm sure there is some degradation of productivity, but it is...
Have you been surprised by such a high percentage?
In honesty, yes. MAS itself is 90%, close to 90% working from home. All of us financial institutions and MAS, we have critical functions where you need people on the ground, on site, but that percentage is surprisingly small. So I think this has been very good. And we are very grateful that the strong investments that the financial sector in Singapore has been making in digital transformation over the last 5 to 6 years has really placed the financial industry in a good place. If we didn't have this, imagine if there was no electronic payment systems, there was no infrastructure for online digital banking, or for sale of insurance products online, or for trading from home and so on. If those capabilities had not been put in place, we'd be in a much worse situation. So I think the financial sector has been able to do this pretty well. And lots of activities have moved on to virtual platforms. This is not to say that this is not without its challenges. Many financial institutions are having to make all kinds of adjustments to the new environment. But overall, I think financial sector has been able to operate. This doesn't mean that the growth rates are going to be fantastic because underlying economic activity is weak. But in terms of being able to function and operate, it's been really quite heartening.
Many of those joining us tonight, Ravi, are from the FX and Treasury sector. Have you seen specific impact on this particular sector?
FX has been one of the better performing sectors, has been generally more resilient. And what we are thankful is that the FX market has been able to manage the volatility from the global impact of COVID-19. Actually, FX volumes in March hit a record high. with a surge in trading activities because people were hedging, people were offloading, readjusting positions and so on. Of course, that has passed, and now the activity level has come down to more normal volumes. Spreads have widened. This is to be expected during times like this, but not unduly so. There is still lots of liquidity in the system. So I think having a robust infrastructure in place to support trading activities has been very important. It's paid off very well at a time when markets are volatile, especially the electronic trading infrastructure in Singapore, which we started working on earnestly together with the industry a few years ago, so that the pricing and matching engines are based here, and not have to wait for prices to be matched in London, New York, or Tokyo, because there's still a time lag taken to route orders to these markets, and sometimes there are execution errors and so on. And especially during volatile times, the possibility of these errors is higher. So we've gotten very good feedback that the EFX, electronic FX trading system, ecosystem in Singapore, because it has attracted key liquidity providers and platforms to base their pricing and matching engines here, that has really benefited participants during this time. And just to close off on that point, as you know, we have a FX e-trading initiative where we're trying to encourage financial institutions to set up their pricing and trading engines in Singapore. We've already got, I think, about 7 banks and non-banks who have actually moved those activities here to Singapore. And we've got another 2 more joining us. So even during this period, we are seeing very positive, encouraging activities on the FX side.
Ravi, we've heard time and time again from the government that the COVID period is a good time for us to position ourselves from when we emerge. One of the key focus for the MAS is the reskilling and upskilling. Is the MAS providing additional support in these areas?
Yeah, so this is another key area with the MAS has been focusing on talent development and upskilling the industry workforce to be able to function effectively and have an advantage in the future. So this period is of critical importance, where we are working with the financial institutions to retain their talent, use the opportunity to upskill, reskill their human capital, and explore ways to build longer-term capabilities in digital functionalities so that they can emerge stronger from the crisis. So last month, this is still May, yes, April last month, we announced a $125 million support package, basically to support smaller financial institutions and fintech firms through the downturn. And it comes mostly in terms of training and manpower costs. So we launched a training allowance grant, which should allow financial institutions, especially the smaller ones and fintechs, to make use of the downtime to train and deepen the capabilities of their employees. We also set up a new digital acceleration grant because we noticed that, of course, the larger financial institutions have invested heavily in digital platforms and digital capabilities. The smaller ones don't have that the capacity to do that. So we've offered this digital acceleration grant so that they can adopt digital solutions to strengthen their operational resilience during this period, improve their process efficiency, improve their risk management, and their customer service. The take-up, we just announced it in April, and the take-up has been very encouraging. More than 120 applications have come in, and the first batch of applicants have already gotten their grants. So training is absolutely critical, and we want to make sure that our support goes into that direction of preparing themselves so that they emerge stronger from the crisis.
Ravi, prior to our conversation, we identified 2 very lucky participants to get their questions across to you, and I'd like to invite one of them first, Rajesh Raman of Diamond Asia. Rajesh, are you with us?
Yes, thank you so much, Haslinda. As Haslinda said, I'm Rajesh Raman. I'm a portfolio manager at Diamond Asia. As you discussed, the COVID-19-led growth slowdown has brought unprecedented initiatives in monetary and fiscal policies across the globe. In Singapore, the heavy lifting till now has been done by fiscal policy. Nevertheless, with many global interest rates going very close to zero and some going negative, can you comment on the impact of a near zero or negative interest rate environment in the local context? And two, would appreciate your thoughts on what unconventional monetary policy, if needed, will look in the Singaporean context. Thank you.
Right. I think first, it is, as I said earlier, it is only appropriate that the heavy lifting is done by fiscal policy. This is not really about making money cheaper. That helps. But if you look at across the world, the boldest moves have been actually in fiscal policy, and rightly so. Why? Because we want to get cash quickly into the hands of individuals and businesses so they can meet day-to-day needs and tide through this period. So the centerpiece of our response is fiscal policy. The centerpiece of fiscal policy is the job support scheme, where wages are subsidized so that jobs are protected. This is important. And then a variety of other cash handouts to households and so on. Monetary policy in Singapore, I don't see it getting any unconventional. As you know, our approach is to center monetary policy on managing the exchange rate. The exchange rate has depreciated a fair amount in the early part of the year. And so we just recentered the policy path on a stable 0% appreciation. That I think is appropriate, because at this time, what you need is stability in monetary policy. And it is as accommodative as it gets in Singapore if you have a 0% appreciation path. We don't control interest rates, but we're glad to see interest rates have come down quite nicely with a lag though. 1 month SIBOR and 3 month SIBOR rates are at close to historical lows now. And the MAS has been very active in providing liquidity and leaving more liquidity in the banking system. So I think there is just too much fascination with unconventional monetary policies like QE and negative interest rates. For us, I think keeping the exchange rate stable and providing ample amounts of liquidity, especially now with the 2 new facilities, the US dollar facility, $60 billion to provide dollar funding, that is very key. And the Singapore dollar facility that we have extended, where we lend money to banks at 0.1% interest for a 2-year tenor for them to on-lend to SMEs. So I think measures that directly impact credit, as I said earlier, are going to be more impactful. And that's what we've been doing. The other thing we've done, and I think that's worth emphasizing, is the package of relief measures that the financial industry has put forward. So we worked very closely with the financial industry on this. It's unconventional in that sense because for the financial industry to come up and say that we are having a deferment of principal and interest repayment on mortgages, principal repayment for secured SME loans, those are deeply impactful. It helps a lot of people. And I think like I said, it's as important to focus on the downstream effects of credit continuing to flow into the economy to support activities, just as it is upstream to do QE and negative interest rates and pump a lot of liquidity in the system. We need to have both, and we are focused on doing both in an impactful way.
Let me bring in the second lucky participant, Sneha Sangvi of Westpac Bank. Go ahead, Sneha.
Thanks, Haslinda. Hi, Mr. Menon. I'm Sneha, and I look after the financial markets business for Westpac here. Mr. Menon, thank you for sharing your fantastic insights on both the larger economy as well as the financial sector. As we're entering the end of the circuit breaker period, we're all wondering, what does the future look like for the financial services? And we were very interested to hear your thoughts on what does the future look like for our sector? What's the impact? What changes will be permanent? What changes will stay? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think that's a very good question. It's something we're also focused on. Just as we are very busy fighting the fire of the short-term crisis, we're also thinking ahead. A lot has been written and commented upon as to how the post-COVID world will look like. I think it's a bit early to tell. Some trends are quite discernible. A point I made earlier, I think, is worth restating. The financial sector needs to be able to operate with safe management. This is going to be quite key. The way office layouts work, the way transactions are carried out, everything has to take into account public health considerations. Because I'm assuming that it's going to take quite a while before we find a vaccine or a treatment, which means this is going to be with us. And if the financial industry can prepare itself to do this well, it'll be a great. And so a lot of opportunities and changes will be related to that, that dimension. The other obvious one, which is about digitalization. There's been more digitalization in the last 2 months than people had expected over the next 5 years. And this acceleration is going to be with us. Once people had gotten used to working on digitally, so factors like remote working, factors like e-commerce, telemedicine, whole range of things are going to change in the economy. And the financial sector is well plugged into this. So these are some of the additional opportunities that come with digitalization. Those financial institutions that adopt deeper end-to-end digitalization, who are able to use digital platforms for a variety of business operations that today are conducted in person or with paper, are going to have a strong competitive advantage. New opportunities in particular areas, harder to tell. One of the things that we've picked up is that impact investing may become a stronger growth opportunity. We've already seen some financial institutions launching impact funds to seek returns, high returns, by investing in companies that are focused on combating the pandemic. So those who are in the business of providing solutions to deal with the health risks and so on could do well. So I think we've seen some early signs of this, of impact investing among asset managers. It'll be interesting to watch this theme. And those themes will be like healthcare and supply chain resilience that we might want to look at. On the insurance front, pandemic risk insurance. Everyone has now gotten much heightened awareness of pandemic risks. Just as a few years ago, we started getting reminded about natural catastrophe risks and the need to insure against those risks. So I think pandemic risk insurance, it has been around, but never really took off because people never regarded it as a real risk that you need to insure against. So I think you're going to find risk management solutions, insurance solutions to address some of these new areas of demand, if you will. And the financial sector, again, is fundamentally in the business of risk management and providing risk management solutions. So I see some nascent opportunities in this direction, but we just have to watch very closely how these trends unfold. But overall, we are undiminished in our optimism and confidence in the prospects for the financial industry.
Always optimistic, Ravi. Speaking of how investing will change, I mean, we heard from Ray Dalio saying that holding dollar and other reserve currency denominated debt will be less appealing. Do you share the view post-COVID?
Hard to tell. The role of the US dollar, if anything, post-global financial crisis, and if you look at the last 5 years, the role of the US dollar, if anything, has grown, not shrunk. And it is the ultimate safe asset in the world. If you look at where people want to go to when they are nervous, it's still the US Treasury market. And you also see a larger volume of US dollar related activities in Southeast Asia. A lot of cross-border activity is in US dollars, which is why in March, for 2 weeks, we all had a very bad scare because dollar funding was evaporating, capital was flowing out, and central banks had to intervene to sustain their currencies. So the dollar's dominance has not diminished in any way, if you ask me. Will it change? I don't think it will change in the short term. Over the medium term, well, it's harder to tell. People are conscious of the concentration risk of dependence on the US dollar and the US dollar clearing system. But there is no ready alternative today. I can't see any ready alternative. And so I think this is likely to continue for quite some time more.
Ravi, just one final question before we let you go. How has COVID-19 affected you personally? What's been most challenging?
Personally, I'm having quite a good time. I think, I think many people, I thoroughly enjoy working from home. It's been actually quite productive. And you also get to do more things. And I think there is greater efficiency. Of course, there are some things that I do miss. I think interaction with, face-to-face interaction with staff and with colleagues in the financial industry, that is a loss, I think, for all of us. But it's not, it's a mixed picture. So I think in other regards, it's been quite good. It is a lot more work, obviously, and crisis management is it's not something that you relish doing all the time, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that part of how COVID-19 has impacted is yeah, it's more challenging.
Ravi, I lied. I still have one question before we let you go. Really, this time, what worries you the most right now?
Sorry?
Looking at the world, what worries you the most?
Debt. That is going to be the lasting legacy, if you will, of COVID-19. Corporates and governments are accumulating large amounts of debt. Now, this makes sense when you are faced with tough times, whether you're an individual or as a corporate. You borrow to tide through. When you borrow excessively, there is a reckoning later on. You have to pay it back. So that is the biggest worry I have about next year and beyond. You know, assuming we get the health issues under control, then I think dealing with this mountain of debt will be a key issue. How are governments going to fund the deficits that they are accumulating? How are corporates going to pay off the debts that they're accumulating? Which is why it's very important, as we discussed earlier on, emergency measures should be seen as just that, emergency measures. You have to start withdrawing and unwinding those so that you do not build up excessive debt. You need more equity in the system. You need some restructuring in the system. Some firm destruction is inevitable, but resources must flow. People must move on to new activities and adjust to new realities. Then I think we'll get through this much stronger than before.
Ravi, always a pleasure to get your insights. Thank you very much. Ravi Menon, Managing Director of the Monetary Authority of Singapore. Really a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Haslinda. It was fun talking to you. Thank you. And thank you to the rest of everyone in ACI. Wonderful work you're doing, reaching out to society and raising funds. I just wanted to close out by saying that, 12 years ago, finance was the cause of the problem. Now I'm hoping the financial industry will be part of the solution. And I think what you've done, Hold On and team, is tremendous, and very happy to be here as part of this effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, Ravi, for sharing your thoughts and being with us tonight. I felt very encouraged by that. Thank you very much, Haslinda, for moderating this very insightful conversation. And there we have it, a snapshot of the crisis as it unfolds and the bumpy road ahead. Albeit, I think, feeling that we can get through this together. Thank you very much. Now, I understand from our tech team that some of you were left stranded in the main room during the fireside chat. You should be now in your breakout rooms. Sorry about that. There are just so many of you, and we needed to get you all through, and that was quite difficult. But you should be with your friends now tonight. Now, tonight's virtual event would not have been possible if not for the, I think, visionary and very, very hardworking organizing committee. And now I'd like to invite the committee's chairman, Mr. Leng Holan.
It was last night that I had a dream. That many years down the road, someone had asked me what 2020 was like, and I told them, it's quite a show. To start off the brand new year, missiles attacked the Middle East. News got out of Wuhan, China, that the bats virus was released. I told them about how the world imploded. They raced to sell oil cheaper. In China, people were mysteriously dying. We had begun to tunnel deeper into chaos. Now people were dying more. The caskets had run out. Countries begged the World Bank for money and the US for the drought. There's so much poverty. It's COVID-19. The virus finally has a name. The frontline workers shouldered the burden. Everyone wanted someone to blame. I talk about the fear seeping in, whether you were rich or poor. Round the clock, the tech team worked, so we stayed home till there was a cure. Now the financial markets crumble, fumble. Oil settled at minus 37. The Fed started printing balance sheet to 7 trillion. Never seen since the Great Depression. Is the recovery a V-shape, U, W, L, or even X? It is a labyrinth, a quagmire of indebtedness. It's complex. But things are getting better. It's not thanks to injecting bleach. It's because of noble sacrifices. Agreements have been reached. I told them that we genuinely wanted to change the past. No matter the cost or pain, pollution's disappeared. Skies reset, every storm runs out of rain. I said the country started leaning in. Friends and families. We help each other through thick and thin. The resilience of humanity. We may be separated by safe distancing, but we are connected through our hearts. A virtual event to support our future. Everyone can do their part. So instead of building a safety net, we had another idea in mind.
Does Singapore believe in the notion of a safety net for those who fall between the cracks of a successful economy?
I believe in the notion of a trampoline.
Instead of catching those who fall, we created a community that's kind. The dream ended with a start. Together, we can build a giving machine. We help all that need our support to bounce back like a trampoline. Thank you.
No, we're not going to solve it with bleach, but with the community coming together as a giving machine to help all those in need to bounce back like a trampoline. Thank you very much, Holan, for that very heartfelt message. And also a very special thank you to your son, I understand, Xiao, for helping you with the poetry. Right, we will now commence part 2 of this evening by zooming you into your allocated rooms. Please be patient with us as we move you to your breakout rooms. And in the meantime, please feel free to get yourself a drink, maybe start on your dessert if you want to. And tonight's entertainment will commence in exactly 2 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Now it's time for this evening's entertainment. Wild Rice has been part of the ACI Charity Golf Gala for over the past 3 years. And this evening, we stepped up to the challenge. We asked 4 of Singapore's funniest, most talented actors to create something very special for this evening. Pam Oei, Joe Tan, Andrew Marko, and Dwayne Lau are very well-known actors and they act in the theatre. They write, they perform, but for this show, and it's a show, they all wrote, performed, and filmed all these works themselves in their homes. That's a pivot if there's any at all. And you are going to be the first people to enjoy these snippets, these small pieces, which actually respond to the situation as we all kind of recognize it. So we think they'll go viral tomorrow, but we hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. Enjoy.
Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. This may be the most exciting thing to happen to me all circuit breaker, so I'm really thrilled to be able to contribute something to this lovely evening. And speaking of lovely evenings, circuit breaker is almost over and is going to be amazing! Or is it? Well, in any case, I hope everybody is keeping very healthy and well, and I'll see you on the other side. It's called CB, short for circuit breaker, measures when folk aren't allowed to meet, and they close down everything. We'd stay home unless to exercise, jogging suddenly appealing. Oh no, extended CB. First June's only 6 weeks off, I think, maintain serenity. Then they close down bubble tea. What the hell can I still do at home if I can't comfort eat? Well, safe distance did screen us, and in 3 days I'll break away, go on the other side. Eat whole fun that my mother fried. And this will be a story that is over and done. I'll tell it by drinking cocktails at Robertson. Can't wait to go from north to south side, and not have to worry about catching the bug. I'll go shopping, buy clothes, 'cause my pants are too snug. Wait, I'm poor, but actually I spent much less cash at home at home, so I don't need to worry about wearing pants. I've not plucked my brows in weeks, and yes, my legs are really hairy. Can't remember what conditioner is, and now it's almost when I must go outside, I've let my grueling standards slide. Do I still know how to use my shaver and comb? I'm rethinking if I really want to live.
Oh, I didn't see you guys there. Wow, there's so many of you. Hey, all the way to the back. Hey, what's up? Anyway, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here at ACI Live Aid 2020, here on the internet. In these strange times that we're living in, we need your help and your support more than ever. So thank you so much for continuing to help us do what we love to do best and tell the stories that you love to hear. I hope that everyone's been keeping safe and staying sane and doing everything you can to keep yourself happy, calm, and productive. I absolutely can't wait to get back on stage to perform for you guys. So hopefully we'll see you real soon. 你好，我是 Colin from DHL. You have a package that is stuck in a customs. Package number 118791. Please enter your IC number for verification purposes. No, this is not a scam. This is real life. Hello, good morning, sir. I am calling from Singtel. There is a signal problem with your internet router. Please, can you restart? What? Yes, I know your name. This is not a scam. You want me to tell you your name? जी, उसका नाम क्या है? पता नहीं. अरे बाबा. Okay, your name is Mr. Tan. Hello? Elisa, don't worry. This is not a problem. I am a real Nigerian prince. I want to give you $10,000 because you are my friend now. All I need to know is, what is your bank account number? What is it? What is your bank account number? Congratulations! You've just done the 100 millionth Google search and have won $1 million. All you have to do right now is verify your exact location. Good afternoon. I'm calling from the Royal Bank of Scotland. Am I speaking to a Mr. Tan? Lovely. Now, I'm calling with regards to some unusual cash withdrawal activity from your account in Nigeria. Before we proceed, I will need you to verify your bank account details with me. Hello? Daddy, help! I've been kidnapped! No children now. Okay, bye-bye.
Listen to me. I know where you live. I know your name. I know everything about you. If you don't give me $100,000.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Is this the ACI Live Aid events? I am calling from one of the partnering restaurants. We need you to send more money for potatoes. Which restaurant? McDonald's? Hello, is this the person in charge of the ACI Live Aid charity events? Yes, hi. I'm calling from the Protection from Online Falsehoods and Manipulation and Scam Calls Act. Yes, that's right. We expanded from POFMA to POFMSCA now. Yeah. So anyway, a few of your guests are concerned about the authenticity of the charity. So I just want to check what is the bank account that you are using for the charity. Hello? How to make money, sir?
Hello everyone, welcome to ACI Live Aid. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. It means a lot to us. If you haven't already donated to the Trampoline Fund, please consider doing so because it will help a lot of people bounce back. Stay healthy, stay safe, and let's break this CB together.
Hello everybody, my name is Hazel. When I was young that time, people call me Helmet Girl because they say my hair look like a helmet. I've had this hairstyle since 1975, you know. When I was young that time, my maiden name was Hazel Pop. This is quite an unfortunate surname because it sounds like a pop you eat. Also sounds like sound effect. Hazel Pop, Hazel Pop. Pimple Pop, huh? No. And then when I got married, it was much better. I became a Hazel Go. This is very good because then people ask my husband, Hazel go where? Today Hazel go London. Hazel go where? Today Hazel go Helsinki. Very glamorous. So I want to show you I worked my way up from air stewardess to leading stewardess, and now I'm a chief stewardess. That's right. But now CB, all the crew are grounded. I cannot go anywhere. So Hazel go nowhere. Hazel stay at home. I believe in maintaining my professional look even though I'm at home. They asked me to become ground crew, cannot make it. They asked me to become hospital care ambassador, cannot make it. So Hazel stay at home, and Hazel is now going to teach you something. I'm going to teach you how to cook. But first I want to show you that because I stay home so much, I eat. I, like other people, also become pui. You see, I cannot close my uniform. But it doesn't matter because now I'm grounded. I got new business. I'm going to do a home catering business. And today, because I'm Peranakan, Hazel is going to teach you my mother's recipe of babi ponte. That's right. It's a pork dish, a very famous Peranakan dish. For those of you who cannot eat pork, who don't like to eat pork, who don't want to eat pork, who are allergic to pork, you can also substitute with ayam, which is chicken. And we call it ayam ponte. Ayam ponte sounds very, very gentle and very sibun, right? Ayam ponte. You want ayam ponte or babi ponte? Today, I will teach you a babi ponte. Of course, to make babi ponte, you need babi. Rumpa! Hazel stay at home today, make babi ponte. Hot, fire it up, make it hot. 4 cm of cinnamon. Not 3, not 5, 4 cm, okay? Don't forget to hydrate, it's very good for the skin. Hazel go nowhere! Hazel go where today? Hazel make babi ponte! The rumpa in. Mix the rumpa in. Hey! I'm moving my kabaya! You caught me! Hiya! Into the insulator pot and close the cap, and ta-da! That's it. I just leave it for 2 hours. I go and do my nails. I go and have a drink. I go and have a nap. Okay, it's been about 2 hours, and now I'm back to look at our babi ponte. Let's have a look. We open this cap. Wow! Okay, now this is a very important final step. My mother say you cannot just cut the green chili on the chopping board. The green chili for babi ponte, you must use your fingers and you must break it over the pork so that the seeds all fall in and the shape is all organic. And now I'm going to take a bite. I combine one piece of pork, got a bit of fat, some chili, some sauce, like that. Let's try together. Mommy! The pork is so tender, and all the flavors are there. The cinnamon, the tauchion, the shallots all mixed together, the rumpa, and the green chili really gives it a fresh kick. Fresh! So I present to you now, Hazel go nowhere, babi ponte!
Hi everybody, good evening. Thank you for being a part of this fundraiser. As we exit the circuit breaker and enter into phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3, I pray that you continue to stay healthy, stay safe, keep well, be happy, and stay connected with your loved ones. Have a great evening and God bless you.
So many phases, still some normalcy, but almost none are satisfactory. So many rules, all damn one kind, like how I've lost all track of time. One phase so more. Can I go outside or not? CB macam kena restarted. One phase more. I want to see my other friends before I hear they have departed. One more phase to hug my kids, but only hug two at a time. One more phase to limb my kopi, face to face with my kaki. Faster let Lau Lang come out. We don't have much time on hand. If phase 3 becomes phase 10. One more phase, then we can marry. Actually now already can. No need to buy Tom, Dick or Harry, cause cannot have more than 10. When can I go cafe hopping? When can I go to the gym? I don't know what I can do or can't. Confused, don't find me, please. One phase more. One more phase to the solution. We will nib it in the bud. When we find the vaccination, then the phases we can cut. Must stay in the house if there's nothing more to do. Otherwise you'll be stuck here till 2022. You can Zoom your friends, learn to belly dance, but if you leave for work, please don't forget your pants. One more phase to indoor dining. That's phase 2, now still cannot. All my white hair can be seen. You can die when phase 2 starts. All these phases too confusing. It will all make sense somehow. Did you see the sovereign queen? Don't be like her. Unite and sing. One phase more. So when I go outside or heroes, we will keep our spirits high. CB macam kena restarted. We'll be stronger. Frontliners in the front, heroes of our state, work night and day to help around it in the bud. Before we will find tomorrow the vaccination. Tomorrow is a better day. Tomorrow we'll discover what our God in heaven has in store. One more law, one more phase, one phase
Bravo, 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 and thank you so much for your funny and fabulous homemade videos, Joe, Andrew, Pam, and Dwayne. Let me just speak up a little bit on behalf of our Singapore theatre community. In spite of going through very tough times, I think our community has actually stepped up very admirably to the plate to entertain everyone at home, to bring some laughter, silliness, to bring some relief from the fear and anxiety of our times. So do send some love our way. All right. Now, the world of banking and finance is traditionally dominated by men. Some say this is still very much the case today, which is a shame because I'm sure we all agree that the industry, in fact, the world, as we know it, could benefit a bit more from diversity. It's something ACI's Women's Exco has been trying hard to change over the years. And so here's a message they would very much like to share with all of us.
We at ACI believes in the strength and equality of all women. We are an organization who are committed to shape the future of financial markets and truly believes that increased diversity and inclusion has a big part to play in today's world. ACI provides an excellent platform to develop and create opportunities for the emerging female talents through mentoring and networking with the industry veterans. Now, let's hear more from my fellow women in ACI. Over to you, Eileen.
The current COVID-19 situation has put the spotlight on the success of many women leaders in the various countries that have handled the crisis well. Currently, women account for less than 7% of the world leadership, and in financial services, only 20% of the executive committee are represented by women. Diversity in leadership teams brings about different perspectives and helps to foster a creative and innovative environment. We should all play our part to build a diverse and inclusive financial markets by taking on more leadership roles and to groom more female talents. Over to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Eileen. To add to Eileen's point, this is a topical conversation at ACI Exco. The lack of diversification is a glaring statistic. When we get the numbers up, imagine the value that ACI can add to financial markets through thought diversity. Sneha, share some of the benefits.
The current situation with COVID-19 has forced many of our sales and trading professionals to work from home. And we've all been really surprised at how smoothly it's all worked out. I believe that some of the learnings of this very unusual period will be a game changer for us. And we would look to deploy these learnings in thinking about how we could work from home permanently. And this in turn will help us to bring an increasingly diverse group of professionals into the workforce. I'm really excited at the prospect of driving this change. This will be one of the many initiatives that ACI will be working on this year. Join ACI and be a part of this journey. Sabrina, what else have you got planned for our ladies?
We have lined up a series of activities to engage our ladies out there. If you're looking for the opportunity to have a senior or mentor who can help you navigate your way in the financial world, we have got you covered here. There will be a face-to-face mentoring event coming up real soon. It will not be just another art or diamond appreciation night, but will be one that will expose you to look at investment ideas from a different angle. On top of that, we plan to have bonding trips with our markets BFFs, and at the same time, not forgetting to do our part together for charities. So please hesitate no more, come right down and join us, cause we need you. And together, we can.
Thank you very much to the ACI's Women's Exco. Join them and make a change. This is a gentle reminder, everybody, to please make a donation if you haven't already to this fundraising event. Just scan the code, it is on the screen and it will be there till 9 p.m. You will be making a real difference to real people's lives by contributing to this brand new trampoline fund. And I want to say a very, very big thank you on behalf of ACI Singapore. We are coming to a close, the official part of this event, and bringing this event to a climax, we asked you, members of the Singapore financial sector, the community, to join us in creating a video, to stand in solidarity with everyone at this difficult time. Together, a song written by Mr. Ken Lim, was the theme song of MVP 1999. It's a very inspiring and moving song. And it's all the more meaningful, not least because I think tonight, for example, we've all kind of embraced the digital divide and come together to play our parts to make it happen. On my part, it has been my great privilege and pleasure to be your host at this groundbreaking milestone fundraiser of an event. Please feel free to continue to party in your own breakout rooms till 9:30, and till we meet again face to face, sooner rather than later. Let's stay safe and healthy. Let's be kind to one another, and let's get through this together. Thank you very much. Good night.
together aspire to achieve. No matter what, no matter when, working hand in hand. Let us go the distance, reach for goals that shine, creating our future with everyone in mind. Together we make a difference, one voice, one destiny. We remain undivided, our hearts in harmony. Together we make a difference, our friends, our families. We will share a special dream. Together we feel the Singapore heartbeat.
Let us find in our strides new strength to go on by. Nothing is ever easy. We have to hold on and strive. Let us never be afraid if we have to change our ways. Through the years, we'll always stay one in every way.
Together we make a difference, one voice, one destiny. We remain undivided, our hearts in harmony. Together we make a difference, our friends, our families. We will share a special dream. Together we feel the Singapore heartbeat. Together we make a difference, one voice, one destiny. We remain undivided, our hearts in harmony. Together we make a difference, our friends, our families. We will share a special dream. Together we feel the Singapore heartbeat. We will share a special dream. Together we feel the Singapore heartbeat. The Singapore heartbeat.